All right. Hey, y'all. What's going on? That was real chill. I know it's Thursday. It's Friday evening. How y'all doing? There we go. There we go. A lot more life. So, welcome first of all to Culture House, and thank you for coming out to our second installment, our second segment of Rhymes and Reasons, Volume Two. And this one is called Levantate, celebrating the Latin influence on hip hop. We did this last year around this time, just talking about hip hop and its influence in the city, in the state, in the world. We had a really dope conversation led by three of these individuals, including Thailand music. But now, this time, we're going to talk about the Latin influence on hip hop and those exchanges. So, thank you for coming. I'm on behalf of Omaha Performing Arts. My name is Aaron Durrell Gregory. I'm the community engagement specialist, and we are just happy to be partnering with Culture House. So, Marcy, thank you again for having us. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna let these guys go on and take it, and I will see you all at the end of the conversation. So kick back, relax, prepare questions. Prepare your questions. No, I'm just kidding. All right, have a good time, y'all. All right, you got it, man.
Thank you. Round of applause for the OPA one time, please. Amazing what they're doing for the city. Yes, yes. My name is Kethro. Some of you know me. For those that don't, I am a many things: audio engineer, producer, DJ, musician, uh, wannabe rapper slash comedian, wannabe cook, um, wannabe fashion designer. I want to be a lot of things that I can't be. So I dream about those, but the when it comes to audio, that's really what I'm good at. Pretty much nothing else. But it's good to be here in this wonderful establishment. And I thought, like last time, just to raise a hands real quick, who was here for the first talk that we had? Okay, wow. So brand new crowd. Um, the first discussion we had, I opened up with a little story that I read from a very wonderful book by Jeff Chang titled "Can't Stop, Won't Stop." This one I felt like I'm gonna try to get my wannabe author on. I don't know how else to say it. And I came up a little bit of something to kind of kick off this discussion because I feel like it maybe will tie into what we're talking about. Some always wonder when hip hop began to take its raw roots in American history. Most would tell you that it began 50 years ago on a block where sound systems engulfed the air with heavy bass and melody. Break dancers were scraping holes through their brand new Adidas pants to prove their worthiness within the neighborhood, and an MC was shouting positive affirmations to the crowd. Can't stop, won't stop. Body rocking one more time. Although the timestamp of these moments shaped the start of a brand new artistic expression, the rage, the spirit, the passion, the creativity, and the roots were bubbling on American soil for decades. One example, this is just one. Cut back to May 31st, 1943, a time when World War defined one's stance on politics, defense, and survival. In greater Los Angeles, a group of uniformed servicemen began to clash with young brown and black Americans who were wearing what they called zoot suits. A zoot suit was known as a style to many minorities who used the large and loose fabric to express rebellion in whatever form they saw fit. The servicemen saw this expression as an attack on their pride and effort to serve and protect. Through the week following, the attacks grew large, eventually forming one of the most violent sprees within the city limits. The media painted this as the Zoot Suit riots. The media claims that no lives were lost during that week, but never sent many journalists inside those lines to actually cover it. They also forget to mention and acknowledge until now that how that wave of the Zoot Suit riots eventually sparked similar riots in Chicago, Philly, and Detroit that very same year. These types of occurrences date back even further and eventually feels like it's a never-ending storyline for us. Within the millennium of hip-hop, though, this millennium, taking a shape and becoming a global empire, these riots and similar occurrences that led up to it was a way of the mass minority stake finally saying, it's our time to speak, and it's our time to speak through artistic expression. Hip-hop in many forms is telling the story of a personal lifelong struggle. It's formulated into hopes, dreams, aspirations, and love letters to self. It's therapy, it's escapism, it's art. The stories date back from generations of families trying to afford a simple life in yet a very challenging country. It's a diary for young women and men to express their secrets and wishes, to let out the bad juju and trauma and make way for a better life, to give a change, to feel empowered and respect by the masses. That being said, in this panel, we'll be discussing the Latino garden within hip hop. And what I define as a Latino garden is a term I like to say is like the voices of reason within the hip hop realm within a very large scope. And I call it a garden because it's very beautiful. It incorporates many countries and cultures and backgrounds. And it's also a better way of saying that than Latin America because, a lot of people think Africa is a country. And I'm not going to talk about Latin America like it's a country. I'm talking about it in mass. Although many places in the Bible Belt saw hip hop as an African American form of expression, the heavy hitters were coming from many places of the globe. Mexico, Cuba, Puerto Rico, the DR, Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, Panama, etc., and etc. So let's keep that in mind when we're discussing this form and these gentlemen here tonight. I also want to say that within this talk, we don't have a lot of time to speak. So I'm going to have to move fast and efficiently. And please bring your questions because we will drop that Q&A. I want to introduce these three very, very talented individuals to my right and to your left. I'd like to start here with a government named Brenton Gomez, a.k.a. Conny Franko. Next to me, government name that I'm going to keep secret, but one of the greatest talented MCs who is also new to the couch, Stylo. And of course, the godfather of this great establishment, local leader, and incredible producer MC, Marcey Yates. So please give a round of applause for these three gentlemen. I want to start by just giving you a little bit of context in the music history of how not only these gentlemen, but gentlemen from similar backgrounds in the Latin American community has shaped hip hop. We've had some amazing talents, and if you follow hip hop back to its roots, you have people like Mellow Man Ace, who was the brother of Sendog. Sendog was, and also those two were the founding members of Cypress Hill. Mellow Man Ace released, he's born in Cuba, not in America, not in North America, sorry. They consider him the godfather of Latin rap. He also had the very first hit song ever made by somebody with a Cuban background and also considered Latin American. Angie Martinez, radio personality, has literally created and shuttered so many rappers' careers. A lot of people say you really can't advance to the next level without Angie Martinez on the microphone and playing your records. Bobito Garcia broke Pun, broke Wu-Tang Clan, gave rappers a chance who never would. Street kids, nothing but a record in their hand. We also can't forget about Big Pun and the Terror Squad. And for anybody who's maybe 28 and up, knows who Big Pun and Terror Squad is. I remember being in the living room, like, pretending to be Big Pun, and I'm skinny ass dude.
Running drizzles.
Imagine my mom, like, me dancing in those videos. She's like, well, what are you doing? We also can't forget, like, the underground heroes. DJ Laz really incorporated and brought the Miami bass scene to the forefront. And, of course, Pitbull. But we're not going to talk about Pitbull. We also got to remember Kid Frost. Kid Frost. If you ever get a chance, he had a song called La Raza. Is that how you pronounce that? Released in 1990. He also created the Latin Alliance, which is like a super group. And they created a few hit records in the 90s. And I feel like these people really laid the foundation to what we're hearing today. Whether you're aware of them or not, when you go home today, just remember these names, YouTube them, watch the videos. They're really fun. Watch Angie Martinez destroy people's lives with the microphone because she's real. She had a music career too, and it was tight, and I wish she still sang. But that being said, moving over to discussion with these gentlemen, first I want to have you cats introduce yourselves, but I also while you're introducing yourselves, could you please tell the crowd a little bit about the influences behind of like the people and the places and just the wide influences that helped you become the artist that you are today? So we're gonna start with you, Connie.
Yeah, I'm Conny Franko. Full name's Brenton Gomez. Some of my biggest influences have been like family members, whether it's like my great grandmother, Alta, or like Latin American writers like Gabriel Garcia Marquez and Jorge Borges and things like that. Magical realism, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, like I said. But yeah, those have been like the biggest influences kind of on me is like family and then also other writers.
Nice. What about you, Steve?
I go by Stylo, one of the original, I like to say, original Latino hip hop artists of the city. Before there was any, it was literally I was not able to find a lot of different people to work with. So I originally started just performing at talent shows up north, here on Lake Street. Or actually, I'm not sure which one. Lothrop. I think there was a hall in the corner. I remember I used to perform there because I wasn't allowed to perform anywhere else. They wasn't taking me serious seeing a Mexican kid rapping. So the only way we had to figure out a way to get in was talent shows. As far as influences goes, it's pretty much everybody he named. Big Pun was a huge influence with me. My brother went to the army, went to the East Coast, came back with an MP3 player. On that MP3 player, he had Big Pun, Scarface, UGK, Devin the Dude, Souls of Mischief, Big Daddy Kane. He had people from different eras, from different regions, and I was just a kid in the Midwest looking for some new music because I fell in love with rap through West Side Connection and Ice Cube when I was a little kid, and that goes even back to when I was reminiscing about listening to Biz Markie when I was a kid, just a friend in the '90s and stuff. Because I'm a '90s kid, um, and yeah, all the '90s rap was my influence. I didn't grow up listening to any Mexican music, even though it was played all over my household. I was the one that was hiding upstairs in the attic listening to rap music on the radio that I recorded from the with a cassette tape, and there was numerous times where my father broke those tapes and threw them away, and I'd go back up there and record some more. And yeah, that's a little bit of how I came up.
We're gonna talk about those tapes later. Marcy.
Yeah, I'm Marcey Yates. My influences, I would say they started just like at my grandparents' house, upstairs in the upstairs room, my older brother's room. He was really huge on underground rap, really East Coast to be specific. So I was really into East Coast rap, like underground rap though. And to me, like all races was like rapping. So I always seen like Latino rappers because like we mentioned Big Pun, Fat Joe, like Beat Nuts and like like underground stuff. So for me, that's just where the influence was. I really love the sound. I really love the lifestyle of it. You know what I mean? Like to me, hip hop is a lifestyle. It's not just a genre of music. You know what I mean? Like it's a feeling. It's like a vibe. It's like the way you talk, the way you dress, the way you walk, like the way you like live and stuff. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I was really attracted to that. And as Steele was mentioning about getting his tapes broke, like me and my brother Ted back there, like at my dad house, like we couldn't have no hip hop. It was we couldn't have it. If he found the tape, he'd take it. Then we'd go find it. Take it back. Then he'll take it back. You know what I mean? But yeah, yeah. So from an early age though, underground hip hop, and so I was just from East Coast to West Coast and then to Midwest. Um, like 'cause at the time I'm listening to Jay Dilla, but I didn't really understand he was from the Midwest.
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
really understand Detroit was Midwest. So um, I've always been listening just to hip hop, like kind of in every pocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I want to lead to my next question is really family roots and kind of how it ties into the creating the careers that you three have created for yourselves. And besides your family breaking your tapes and hiding them from you, do you feel like maybe the reason you became a poet, rapper, simply out of rebellion, or was it something that was your calling? And how does your family influence your music today? Have you found acceptance? Have you found, are they cool with it? Do they listen to your music? Or are they still breaking your CDs when you give them to them?
I mean, with me, I remember I knew I wanted to do rap music and be a rapper. I got an actual story for that one. It's like I was already hiding stuff like that. Nobody knew. I was like, I want to say like 10 years old. I was in Mexico. We was driving. We used to have those old minivans, and we was in the middle of traffic. It wasn't going fast, like 5 miles an hour and stuff. And everybody wanted to listen to some music. I had a West Side Connection tape. I remember I recorded it. I wasn't aware about where it was gonna play from, but they're like, "Who wants to listen to music?" I pull out the tape. I got it. Little kid, you know. I give her the tape. She puts it in. I don't know if anybody's ever heard West Side Connection, the original, but there's an intro and it's a dude from with an England accent. And at the end of that intro, can we cuss? Are we allowed?
Are we allowed to cuss in here?
Yeah, we can cut.
I mean, I'm getting like a kind of
Okay.
yes.
For
You know, one of
just
those
for
like, that's it,
memory
give it.
purposes, at the end of the intro from West Side Connection, it ends with "World motherfucking wide," and that's exactly what started. And then it goes West Side, and then Ice Cube comes with his verse, and he just starts going in. The world is mine. Get back. Don't fuck with my steak. The gauge is wrecked. My mom hit exit, eject, grabbed the tape, threw it out the window.
No.
I wasn't even thinking. I grabbed the door, I opened it, I jump out, I went, brrr, got up, picked up the tape, ran back to the truck or to the van. I jumped in, and I'm sitting there breathing hard, and everybody's looking at me like, what the heck this kid just do? And in my head, I was like, man, what did I just do? But for whatever reason, I was like, I did not want to let that tape go. And I knew then, I was like, I want to do something with this. And that's when I went back. I remember when we went back to the U.S. because I was on vacation in Mexico. I just started writing and writing and writing and writing. And that's when they started finding the tapes.
Yeah.
More and more. My pops found my rhyme book, my first one. I remember I came home from school and he was waiting for me. And I was like, dang, I could already tell he was mad. And he's like, what are you writing? Why are you writing all this stuff? And I was little, so I was just writing what I was hearing. And it was like, motherfucker this and motherfucker that. And I'm a little kid writing that. So he's like, nah, ain't none of this in the house. You know what I mean? So he grabbed it and he ripped it in half and he threw it in the trash. And then right there, I was in shock. Like, because my mom was right there with him, backing him up. So I couldn't, like, have somebody, supporting me in that. And I had, like, two choices right there in my head, at least at that time. I was thinking, I was like, I mean, I could listen, leave it alone. But for whatever reason, as soon as they left, I went into the trash in the back where they threw it. I grabbed it out the trash can and I just started rewriting everything again. And I just kept going and going. And it's just something that I just couldn't stop doing. And I would hide it. And I found my dad because he was like very heavy in the church at that time. He was just a reformed alcoholic. So he was deep into the word. And he had a tape where he would record his sermons. And I took the tape where he had his sermons and I record rap songs over it. And then if my cousins would jump in the room and all my primos would walk in, I'd be like, I hide it under my seat. It's like, what are you doing? It was like, let me see that shit, fool. And I was like, nah, you guys, I ain't trying to let me see it. And I gave it to him and I thought they was gonna make fun of me, but they listened to it. I was like, hey, that shit's hard, cuz. Hey, you should keep doing that. I was like, for real? I was like, yeah. I was like, all right. And then we started doing it more. I was in junior high, so I started doing freestyles, but making fun of my friends and stuff like that. And so they'd get mad. It's like, nah, tomorrow you got to do one about him. And so I would do him and then do the next one. And so that was like during the same, like I said, there was no Mexican rappers in South Omaha. We knew the people I was listening to was people, I don't know if anybody remembers Omaha rap from back in the day, but one of the old tapes from back in the day was a Stack and Bread compilation CD. And that was like old school rappers from Omaha. It was like Afterlife was going on. Video Diversity was on Channel 23. Like we grew up listening to that because we ain't had nothing else to listen to about Omaha rap. And
yeah, that was
us.
Video Diversity was the first time I ever saw Lowrider using hydraulics on television.
And we stay up for that, well, for those that don't know, Video Diversity was a local. It's almost like Rap City the Basement, but Omaha version.
Yeah.
And it was a lady, and a gentleman that was DJing, and they would play all the Omaha videos.
Yep.
And that's where we found out about Omaha rap in general. And we were like, oh, snap, we could do one too on the South Side because I don't see any Mexicans, so it could be us. And that's where everything started like that. You know, that was really the beginning. And in the future, as I went on, you know, I was actually pulled to the side one day in the beginnings and was like, hey, man, if you're gonna rap, you got to rap, you know, what you're living through. You got to rap this because I'm still not aware of none of that. You know what I mean? I'm just writing what I'm
Who's
hearing. Who's
telling you this?
So my older homeboy.
Okay.
My older homeboy pulled me to the side and he's like, hey, fool, you ain't done this yet. I was like, I know you ain't done that yet. And I think inadvertently that kind of made me even be like, oh, well, shit. If I'm going to rap about this, then I might as well just start living like that too. And then inadvertently it pushed me in a negative, you know, area, a negative journey type of thing, which led to some other things, obviously. But, you know, that's how heavy music was influencing me and the way I was moving, which now that I look back, you know, even now, that really guides me with how I'm writing, which is the newer influences.
Yeah. Because
now I know like the ripple effects of the music. And so I try to put at least a message within the message, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I'm writing now, I use those influences. I use past situations.
Yeah.
You know, things that happened with my cousins, things that happened with me, things that happened with my neighborhood, you know what I mean, around the South Side when I was growing up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's like, for my influences is really my environment and the people around me.
Interesting. And I wanna kind of tap in a little bit about, especially you two, because Connie, I believe you grew up in Omaha, correct? Born and raised.
Yeah.
Much like myself, we were actually kind of neighbors.
Yeah.
Growing up, we grew up in similar neighborhoods, but from you cats coming in, you know, from outside of Omaha, I noticed like Omaha is definitely a city made up of people that come in from small towns. In Stylo, I believe you moved here from.
No, I'm actually from Omaha.
You're
too.
from Omaha?
Yeah.
I thought you were born in Texas.
No. So I got a
Family's
huge
from Mexico,
influence from Texas as far as musically.
Oh, okay.
So
My bad.
And it could and I understand it too because I do get a lot from my friends that it's a lot of Texas influences, but that's because we didn't have any influences locally that we could relate to as far as like somebody that looked like us, you know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
So the people that popped up for us was originally people from California, what they was doing most of the cholo rap. And that's in the early 90s in Omaha, that's when gangs started getting heavy.
Yeah.
It was like 92. I remember gang unit wasn't even started. I still remember when it got started was because all the gangs got really bad in the north side and the south sides that they didn't have no task force for it. So OPD had to create something. And I remember that's when, you know, a lot of the California culture came up here. And within that, I learned about the Mexican rappers from Texas who, for us in the Midwest, we related to more because it was just, I personally, I think it was more on the country type of thing.
Yeah.
Even though we're in Nebraska, we're not really like that, but at the same time, we kind of are ones. I don't know if anybody notices, but when I leave outside of the state and I go to the East Coast or to the West Coast, they can tell off top I ain't from there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They tell me I'm country without even me knowing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even aware of that. But when I went to Texas, they would notice I'm country, but not as country as they was.
Yeah.
You know, and so.
You had that Midwest nice.
Yeah, and so like.
You still driving like 75
I related
on the
more
highway.
to a Texas artist than I did to a West Coast artist.
Yeah.
And then the demographic of Latinos that started coming up to South Omaha were more Texas people than Cali people.
Right.
And so that's why South Omaha, it really is a mixture of, you'll see some Cali influences as far as clothing, but as far as the way we talk and the way that the flows and things like that, it's a lot of heavy Texas influence too. Mm-hmm. And even a lot of my friends is a lot of Texas people. So that's why a lot of times people get confused, but born and raised in South Omaha on the same block on 20th Street. It's literally my family's been living there since my dad got here from Mexico.
Well, that's the next question I wanted to get to was, we all kind of grew up in very drastically different parts of Omaha. And for those who have been here for a while, we know how Omaha is kind of made up. It's a very segregated city. So where you grow up or where you went to high school, the worst question in the world, kind of judges as like a prejudgment and defines who you are. But I am curious to ask each and one of you, like, how your environments growing up influenced your music, but also just like personality wise, how you became who you were, how you created how you created the words and the lyricism that you do today. I want to ask Marcey, because you bounced around a bunch, and I'm really curious about your roots a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, my grandparents' house is just a few blocks over off of 19th and Sprague. So I spent a lot of time down here when I was younger.
Yeah.
And that was just like during the week or on the weekends, when I was visiting my mom's, because my dad had custody, so I lived with him primarily, and so that was off of 4th Street, 49th and Fort. So, and so in that household, like it was church, it was the gospel, right? Then in my grandpa's household, she was the same thing, right?
Mhm.
But there was a little bit more lenient though, because my older brother lived with them, and he used to run around, run the streets and stuff. And like Stylo was saying, like in the '90s, it was like there's a lot of gang culture and a lot of that was happening down here. A lot of violence, a lot of gang stuff and stuff like that. So, um, used to make us go to church. Come in. You know what I'm saying, when it get dark at night. When the lights come on, you got to come in. Um, but it gave me it gave me a sense, what I'm saying, of A1, like how to act, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I ain't going around like I ain't got no sense, what I'm saying? Like my mom used to tell me.
Right.
So having that experience, and uh just like not wanting to end up like those that chose to be in the streets, right? You got homies that you come up with, right? And sometimes you don't know what their environment like. They start getting into shit, and you don't even realize it. Then all of a sudden they disappear. That's because they done got locked up or they done done some shit. You know what I mean? Then they come back, but as you get older, you can kind of see like their like appearance, or it kind of either gets like worse or it keeps up with you, or you can either tell like they're from a good family, right? Like this is the shit you just know, you just pick up on with kids like when you growing up. And so again, for me, like when I make music, I want to be conscious with it, right? Because like I said before, I know better. You know what I mean? So for me, in order to, in a way to get the respect too, I think from like my family, right? How I'm gonna be talking about some shit I don't do or stuff I didn't do, or out here putting out crazy shit, especially when I know it's being statistics and stuff like that, right? So just based off the person I am, I think that kind of developed me, what I'm saying, to be the way I am, and kind of make the music that I make. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah.
And Connie, what about you?
Well, I think I have a unique history in this beautiful city. And I was walking down the street about 6 months ago with my dog in a puppy stroller, and he's a French bulldog. And I'm walking past this cat, and he's looking at me like I'm fucking crazy, right? And I'm like, yo, this is fucking crazy. I got a wife beater tucked in my dickies, and I got a mustache, and I'm doing my shit, and I'm feeling pretty fucking cool. Rest in peace, my dog. And I'm like, yo, what am I doing here on 16th Street? Like, what space do I have in ownership into this city? And I think, like, my grandparents met at the Brandeis building, you know what I mean? And I think, like, I'm fourth generation into this city to the south side. Family came up from Monterey. Great grandma and grandpa had a barber shop on 35th and Q. My grandma and grandpa lived down the street from Stylo. You start realizing, like, our families come up in different ways, but still have shared similar spaces. It's much different for a fourth generation Mexican than it is a first generation Mexican. And then someone being out from the suburbs, but also having to go down to see your abuela on the south side, you see the duality of the city, especially being from a single parent home too, where you're like, yo, shit's kind of fucked up where I'm at. And then you go into like another side of the city, and there's parallels that you see that run, even though you're like miles away from that place. But it was at that moment where I'm like, yo, my family's been here and been working the stockyards till they retired. I can walk down this fucking block in my beater and no one can say a goddamn thing about me because I got ownership in the city. And so that's kind of where I recognize like my Chicano roots. I kind of had to learn it ass backwards where I couldn't even speak Spanish to my great grandmother because that's all she spoke. But then eventually finding space and going back to like my home country and spending a lot of time down in Mexico with producers and mutual friends. And so it's been like a full circle experience being an individual whose bloodline has come and set up, you know, like the first Catholic church in the South Side, Pedro Gomez, the Lady of Guadalupe, and then like me, my mom heading out west and then like making my way back down and sitting in this dude's taco truck and rapping life. It's like this fucking weird 360 that happened. But yeah, that's like how I feel my connection to the city, to its culture, whether it's past or present. But yeah. Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Julio. He passed away.
Rest in peace, Julio. Julio, yeah.
He couldn't walk. That's why he was in a stroller, cocksucker.
Yeah, for real. Julio's a beautiful pup, all right? If I
Julio
saw
was
Julio
dope.
on the stroller, that's
Y'all got me
I got a
fucked up.
chance to
Taking
meet
care of
Julio.
that
Julio
boy.
was dope.
This ain't for fun, son.
this. I'm glad you said that, Connie. I'm glad you said that. So it definitely brings me to my next question, and I was reading about Chicano culture, and I was trying to go as far back as I possibly can, trying to figure out and define what the word is, and I came across a journalist goes by the name of Ruben Salazar. Uh, he wrote for the Los Angeles Times and many other publications. He was actually murdered the same year he wrote this article titled "Who is a Chicano and what is the Chicanos want?" What it is that the Chicanos want. And in that article, I'm going to define one line from there, and it really just kicks off the whole article. And I feel like it's still relevant till today, but we can elaborate on that further. He says, quote, "The word Chicano is as difficult to define as the word soul." And with that being said, I'm really curious to ask, especially you two, what the Chicano definition, like what is the definition of it to you? And do you feel like you identify more with what it is now or what it was back in the day? Because I feel like through time, even dating back to the Zoot Suit riots, the Chicano culture was very, very different, but it has grown and become very, very vast. You see Chicano fashion, Chicano music, and in its various forms. And I'm curious to know how you two relate in that realm and how you identify yourselves within that.
Yeah, I think what it is, it's like I say, it's two different narratives with us being so close or so far away from like say like our homeland or whatever. But for me, it's like I'm Mexican American. That's how I identify as being Chicano, and it's a part of my culture, whether it's like white passing or not, or on a given day, it could be like a tan boy to a white girl, whatever it shall look like. But I am Chicano. Um, I look at it the same way as I've been in Mexico and Mexico City because they got their own terminology for individuals. So being a Chilango, you're like a city folk, you know? Or I'd be out skiing with the homies and they'd be like, vamos, vamos, gringo, vamos. And I'd be like, no soy gringo, soy pocho. And pocho is the term you'd use for someone that is Mexican American or acclimated to American habits or culture and then going back to your home country. So I look at all these words and identify like how we identify with each other. But for me, in the word, it is powerful and it allows for like that sliver because I do not know my white father. I only know my Mexican or Chicana mother. So it's like that is my ownership to it. And it's in the food that we eat and I know and the language that I know to a certain degree. And yeah, that's how I look at it. It's like what I see in my mother's eyes. So it's like, yo, like, that's how I identify with it. And I think it's pretty vast because some people are like, oh, if you're Chicano, you got to be from like Texas or something like that. Texans are actually Mexicans. It's just they pushed the borders back after, everything went down, truthfully.
Facts.
But yeah, that's my take on it, So that's how I feel
Still
about the
curious
word
about you.
Chicano.
And when we came up, because I'm first generation Mexican American, I wasn't even considered Chicano in my household, my dad flat out told me, "Tú eres Mexicano. You're Mexican." I was like, "He's from Mexico. My mom's from Mexico." For them, there's no in between. You're just Mexican. So they come in here, they don't have any idea about American culture whatsoever. It's straight up Mexican. But what they see on TV, what they see in the environment is the Chicano culture, which is at that time very California influenced as far as with the movies and the way it looks and the way it sounds. So my mom trying to help us assimilate to American culture, even though I'm from Omaha, I was raised straight up Mexicano, like if I was straight from Mexico. To make our lives easier, she saw the movies, she saw the media portray us in that light. So she said in her head, well, then my kid needs to dress like this. This is the type of clothes he's got to wear in order to fit in with the rest of the Mexican kids in the city already. So she bought me Dickies. She bought me the Dotemans. She let me slick my hair back, or she had my hair bald, depending on which one I had. You know what I mean? I went to boys club and I started learning how to break dance. I started trying to learn how to DJ. You know, I wasn't able to do none of that. You know, and so that's how Chicano at first was. Then I take that and I go to Mexico because they used to take us for 2 months so we wouldn't lose and make us live there.
And where were you at, Mexico?
And we were in Guanajuato, in the middle of Mexico, which is the same thing as the middle of the United States. So I live in the Midwest in the U.S. Obviously, we all do, and in Mexico, I live in the Midwest of Mexico, I guess you could say, because Guanajuato's kind of right in the middle. But when we went down there, it's like he said, I'm thinking, my dad's telling me I'm Mexican growing up, but as soon as I touch down, no, tú eres del norte, way. You're from the north. You're from the U.S. You're not one of us. You're a pocho. They're telling me, I don't even know what that word meant at that time. So I'm like, what's like, and they're laughing about it, and I'm like confused. So I'm like, okay, so I don't fit in up here because I'm like too Mexican because my dad raised me like that, but I look like everybody else. And then I go down there and I'm too American because I look too much like over here. So I'm stuck in the middle, like, what the fuck? What am I supposed to be then? You know, and it was a confusion for a long time. And the music itself kind of helped us identify who we were in the US. And even then coming up, so we returned back and I'd be more confused. Just another example. So now they're like, well, we're Chicano because there used to be a Chicano Awareness Center and they used to help all the Latinos in South Omaha. And so I'm thinking we're that too, but now I'm being told by Mexicans from Mexico at that time, oh, you're not a Chicano because you have to be half white, half Mexican, at least to our terms in the way that we're thinking because we're first generation. So growing up, that's when I was even like to this point, it's even harder for me to consider to call myself Chicano. And I don't know if that's because of all the back and forth from being told I'm not, you know what I'm saying?
You're
and then,
Mexican, bro.
You know, and so I just say, you know what? And to be honest, when my brother went to the army, that gave me a very a big pride in being American. To me, you know, that a lot of people won't, you know, sometimes don't want to say, oh, well, Mexican American, or you just want to say Mexican. To me, I started saying I'm Mexican American because after he came back, I was like, I wish a motherfucker says go back to Mexico because now I can say, nah, my brother fought for this country too. My cousin fought for this country too. So if anybody got any reason that we could stay here, we could stay here. We earned our right, you know. And it's funny that we was even I had to even wait for him to go to the army to even say that, you know, because I still didn't feel like, you know, maybe I didn't earn my key. Like that's how all the things that come at you as a kid, it kind of messes with you and it makes you think some other stuff. And it's like, you know, so for the whole time growing up, I was very confused as far as what Chicano meant, because in different areas too, you started seeing Chicano meant something different to a California person, whereas it meant different to somebody else, meant different to this person. So I'm seeing various different ways of identifying with it. But at the end of the day, for me, what I came down to it was this is who we are as a people. we bring our own sazon, our own flavors, our own seasoning as well. You know, that's and it's like he said, it's in the food, it's in the colors, it's in the way we are as a people, which I identified a lot, you know, with a lot of people that I grew up in my environment, you know, who came up similar aspects, who didn't look like me, you know what I'm saying? And which is what I'm talking about, like my black homeboys too, because
Yeah.
it's the same thing. They brought flavor, they brought music, they brought family from what I was seeing, you know what I'm saying? And so I identified a lot with that too, which is why I was so much heavy into the hip hop because when I was doing that, nobody was telling me a bocho wasn't nobody was telling me none of that. It was just like music and you know that kind of influence as well with the way that Chicano I wanted to bring that into the hip hop, you know. So for me it's like encompasses a lot of different things for representing or what do you say identifying as Chicano.
Yeah. You know, you know, I'm an interracial human. I would say child, but I'm a grown ass man. And I remember in high school, I was having this like dilemma. I was like, why doesn't certain groups take like me seriously? Like, they all think I'm goofy. And I remember like my friend who was white at the time, he was like, man, you're too black for the white kids and you're too white for the black kids. And nobody knows how to like define that. And that's always stuck with me, like moving forward in life. So like, and I'll see those situations sometimes because people can, they're like, are you mixed? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, where'd you go to high school?
Shit.
Shit.
I think people need to ask themselves because I've been in the back of a truck going to Garabari in downtown Mexico City, which is like hectic and fun, whatever. And cat looking at me in the back, he's like, "What are you doing here, bro? What are you doing here?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "What? I'm drinking, y'all. Like, come habla. What the fuck you want from me?"
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Yo, what are you like? Where are you from?" And I'm like, "You know, I'm from the United States." And this is in Spanish, but then you know what? You ask someone, it's like, "Where are you from? You Olmec, Toltec, Mayan, Azteca? You don't know what the fuck you are. What the fuck you running my chips for?" Like,
Yeah.
and I think we all have to ask ourselves that sometimes. It's like, yo, like, why you pointing fingers and wondering why he looks like this and she looks like that? It's like, you can go a lot further, bro.
Yeah.
So that's something that always stuck with me, even going from here, thinking kind of similar things,
Mm-hmm.
and then going back to your like home country and like feeling your home country, even if you are some bastard Chicano boy. It's like, yo, some of this shit's mine too, and you're comfortable there, and you still getting shit, man. But it's like, well, y'all don't even know what you're talking about. Not everyone feels that way, obviously, but y'all need to ask that question sometimes.
Yeah. So.
Oh, hell
Sometimes,
yeah.
yeah.
Un estado en el centro del país, bro. You're like,
It's like that. I
don't know.
It's like the episode
You gotta
Sopranos.
say it's close to Chicago, and then they figure it out.
Yeah. It's like that episode of Sopranos. Paulie goes back to Italy, and he's like so excited to be there, and he realized like he doesn't want to be in Italy anymore. By the time he was about to leave, he's like, I'm a New Yorker, you know, like that's who I am. But I talk with this Italian thing, you know? But I want to switch it up a little bit. On the subject of identity, let's talk about some music. I brought a couple pieces of music that I want to share. And within that, I want to kind of dive in deep a little bit about your lyricism. And I chose these songs kind of define, there's a little bit of background between, you know, every song, and feel free to elaborate on that a little bit. But I want to start with Stylo because he's the newbie on the couch. And I'm going to just play, you know, a minute, and then I'll go ahead and fire away. Is that cool with you?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
cool. Let's make sure this works.
Do it.
All right. Sorry if this is loud. Okay, let me, sorry. We didn't get too much time to sound check, but that's kind of my fault.
Yeah, probably. I had one track. I hope
No,
the internet erased.
I'm surprising you, actually. I'm surprising you with something.
I did a reggaeton track
go.
one day.
No, it's
I
all
think
good.
it exists
It's
somewhere.
all good. Here we go.
Doble filo real, migo, gotta keep it fino. I'm spitting kilos, bien prendido with my homie Chino. Buenos lujos, pura lumbre, dedos con anillos. Exotic mota in my pocket while I'm eating Hito. I'm in a whip taking trips, man, I see yo vivo. San Juditas riding with me in some damn ladrillos. It's a cold hustle over here, se pone frio. I came to win since my daddy had it cross the Rio. This ain't that shit, this that real shit. Son of immigrants, I just wanna build, bitch.
So I'm really curious about bilingual rap, and I noticed like little bit background text. I've recorded a lot of songs with Stylo, so I've heard a lot of your music, and I noticed that within your music, you tend to kind of flip from Spanish to English, and I always thought that was fascinating, because in the world of the music industry, I've always heard executives say it's got to be one or the other, but you always found a way to blend the two, and I'm really curious about who you're speaking to, and what gives you, like, in your mindset, how is it that when you're formulating words to say this works in Spanish, this works in English, and I want to play both of these realms or say both of these languages in one song?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was actually when I was making my name up. That has to do a lot with that reason. So the name, when I was thinking of rap names, I was coming through so many cringy names. Mind you, remember I'm talking about Chicano culture, Chicano rap. So back then, when I was a little kid, there was all the Chicano rappers. They all had Mr. This, Mr. That, Lil This, Lil That. And I was a 12-year-old kid trying to call myself Mr. Something. And then I finally landed on Stylo. But I was really infatuated with Big Pun and the whole Terror Squad at that point in my life.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that he was, at that point, he was bigger like me, and he was getting girls, and he was spitting, and he was freestyling. I was seeing and listening to freestyles that he was doing with DMX and with Jay-Z and stuff like that, that there's clips out there still to this day about that I was listening to just the audio back then. And I was really infatuated with that. And I was like, he was able to still be him, his culture, being Boricua, and was able to hit platinum status and was able to do these songs and still give him his identity within that.
Right.
So with me, I was like, I want to do the same thing. So that was a huge inspiration for me. And so I did Stylo, which was Estilo and style. And I was listening to Nas, NY State of Mind. And then the song goes, you know my Stylo. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's
Yeah.
my name right there. And that's when I started just I made that decision. I was like, look, I'm going to do straight up my lyricism thing. I'm going to go in every time. So for one, can't nobody tell me I ain't supposed to be rapping. So I always got to make sure I come correct. That's what I was telling myself at that time. And then on two, I was like, but I always want to bring my flavor into it so that they know. And when I say that, it's like whoever's listening to me knows that I'm still holding it down for my culture. You know what I mean? That was very important for me. For whatever reason, as a little kid, I just wanted to make sure that, look, I can hold my own, but I'm still being able to do me the way I grew up. You know what I'm saying? And so I made it a point so that every time I was able to throw in some Spanish, I'll throw a word here, I'll throw a word there. And they would tell me one or the other. Don't do both, one or the other. But I was like, nah, we just got to do it in a different way. We just got to present it differently. And when I was doing my songs with my homeboys, especially my homies up north, they was like, nah, bro, throw that Spanish shit on there. I was like, for real? It's like, yeah, throw it in there. I was like, all right, bet. And I would do it in English, and I throw a Spanish. They get hyped too. It's like, I don't know what you're saying, but that shit sound hard.
That's how I feel.
And I was like, bet. And that kind of like built me up, buzzed me up, hyped me up to do it more, because everybody around me that was working with me wasn't telling me no.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well then let's keep it going. You know what I mean? And so I pick and choose. I do pick and choose on where I want to add it to if it calls for it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
however,
when you don't have like an English word that raps with it, but you got a Spanish one?
If I could make it sound cool, I'll do it. That specific track, that specific project was made, I was telling Marcy, was made with a Puerto Rican MC, or I'm sorry, producer that's from Harlem, and I met him, and I've never done anything with the producer, um, and so we both being Latinos, we just decided to make a project, an EP, and we called it a word in Spanish, which was doble filo. As an MC, one side is sharp for the lyrics. As a producer, the other side is sharp, double-edged sword. So doble filos on that tip for that.
It's an amazing record, by the
And
way.
it's all pretty much English and Spanish
Yeah.
flows. Like I purposely made it bilingual. Um, at this point, I want to say in my life and my career, I've come, like he said, full circle with who I am as an artist,
Mhm.
and I've accepted myself as I like to do bilingual stuff now. You know what I mean? And I'm able to present it in a certain way that you will catch it.
Yeah.
If you listen to the context clues, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, he talking about this then because he was talking about that.
Yeah.
So now I present it like that so that you catching little words here and there, or I make it fun because it's just always a challenge. Like it's very difficult for me to, like, I don't want to let you know that it's gonna come up. So I write it into the verse, I write it into the lyrics so that it just flows with it, and you don't even know it's gonna stop and it's gonna come back to English.
Yeah, like
and then out of nowhere it'll come Spanish again.
Right, like in this particular song, I remember we were recording it. It was just like going back and forth, and I kept, even last night, I kept going back and listening over and over and over again. And I'm like trying to write these words and translate them into Google because I don't know how to speak Spanish. And I'm like figuring out. I'm just gonna ask him, but we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Thank you for elaborating on that. It's amazing how you formulate that in your brain. Like my partner is bilingual as well, and she says English is my second language, and I always have to remember that in the household because I'll be saying some wild English made up words all the time. She's like, I do not understand this, man, and I'm sorry. All right, I love you very much. I'm gonna move to Marcey. This is probably one of my favorite songs Marcey ever made, but so I'm a little biased, but also really curious, and we'll play it.
They say they love me, but they wanna go. Now I know how Martin felt when Gina left the show. Ain't nothing like a late session. 3 a.m. good vibes, loop the right section. Write some bars and be live. Fuck with the wrong person, still end up a version. You might end up in bars, don't pretend to murk 'em. I ain't trying to be y'all, less likely to rap with no keys to a car. I invented this, y'all. Made a lane with no concrete, dirt road, and I'm walking like a currency song. Met a girl from New Orleans, had a time we ain't ballin'. Had feelings of falling, who ain't keeping it real, cause I'm the one who caught 'em. This that time and a half, said I wanted to count. Pack it up on the road, tell my girl we could bounce. Hit a house if you want, here's a car you can drive. Better school for my kids, doing more than survive. Hit the block and I'm go, flip moving some more. Get shoes from the store, I ain't repeating no more. I can tell it ain't safe, why they allow the time? Why they tell us to wait, why we getting in line? We just getting in line, life will make a design. Sell the business, we gon' make it just fine. Another day in the time, another day in the life. Another day in the life, another day in the life.
So, one thing I've noticed, like while I was digging through your catalog, is that from 2012 up until today, your music has always been aspirational. Like you always aspire to things. And when I heard this track, Gina, I could tell that you were in a moment of your life. Dilla Kids, this was 2017. I feel like Dilla Kids is on its full steam ahead. And the influence of the Detroit rhythm and Dilla time was like really embedded in your rhythm and style. But also like your lyricism still was very hopeful at a time where I feel like you were getting ready to start this place and become the person that you were. And I'm kind of curious to hear about that particular moment in your life, because when I listened to this record, which Gina was on, I feel like you were like searching, but you already, like you had a plan, but you're still searching for the right puzzle pieces. And I'm curious if you can kind of elaborate on how you, at that time, you were able to formulate the plan to make this beautiful establishment, but also become like a city leader, because now I can't drive down the road without seeing your face on a billboard. And you don't have to go like too deep into it, but I'm just curious on like what your mindset was at that particular time.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that track, I like that track a lot. That's from the season 4, record season 4, album season 4. So during that time, season 4 was I was staying in this apartment over kind of south, kind of around the corner from you, kind of at the time.
I remember that.
Yep. Right above from Mars Black, my guy. And so when I was working on that project, like I was going through like personal things a lot more, and during that time, I felt like the only way I could like get through this shit was to like write about everything that like was on my mind. And in that song particularly, I got tapped in on a couple of things, and I wrote from a conscious perspective, and then I wrote from like, hopeful perspective as well too. And when you say like having the pieces and the parts, I felt like at that time I had made a lot of progress, right? Like as an artist and like here on the scene and things like that. But in my personal life though, like it was still shit though, right? Like I got 2 baby mamas, right? And like when you're trying to like hold on to like your passion, your dreams and stuff like that, right? It's a lot of things that's gonna challenge it. It's a lot of sacrifices you gotta make too. And so often I reflect in that, on that journey. But going through the experiences allowed for me to have the time and the space to be able to create something that was not only filling a void, right? But it gave me a chance to put both feet in and, in this thing trying to be a sustainable artist. So like I didn't know how I would get there, right? So at the time I'm writing that music, I think I'm just entering the space down on 24th Street. I just came off of trying to doing the festivals, right? Bringing in Rakim and shit like that, right? So again, like just pieces, but it's like, what's gonna be that thing that's gonna either catapult me or get me to where I feel like, man, I'm not wasting my time, right? Because it got to be more than just doing some shows here or winning an OA award. You know what I mean? Like it got to be more to that.
I also feel like in Gina you wanted to provide. Like
Yeah.
You speak on providing. Like I want to provide more.
Yeah, man. I
more.
was beat down at the time a little bit.
Yeah.
Like mentally a little bit, because my baby mamas did that to me, man. It made me feel like I wouldn't like I wasn't doing shit. You know what I mean? Just like because it didn't happen quick enough. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just don't happen as soon as you want it. You know what I mean? And sometimes people can grow impatient, right? And so that's me, what I'm saying, reflecting on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then putting it out there, but which is manifesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I tend to do in a lot of my music. So right now, if you would go back, you'll be like, damn, like, okay, I get it, right?
Yeah. I know through times and struggle and strain too, sometimes like the best art comes out of it. And you wrote a really great record out of that. I gotta say, through that pain and that struggle, you wrote an amazing record. I play Gina a lot because I feel like I can relate to that. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the rhythm and the motion and the fact that I'm used to hearing your voice for so long. It's very soothing to my ears. So thank you for that. And that was a personal thing too for me because I'm pretty sure I'm majority of the streams on that song. It's me.
Hey,
if you go look at your monthly streams, like 500, huh? It's like $4.99 is me.
Right. That's what's up.
Don't tell him that, bro.
He was one of my most streamed people on Spotify last year of all time.
I was. I appreciate that.
I really love the records and stuff, and I dissected a lot of the stuff, and I think it's because the producer aspect of it, because I'm always trying to dissect your production and learn, not steal, learn. Okay, let's be honest. All right, Conny Franko. This is a great one. Yeah, I'm gonna surprise you with one, but.
What you do with your dollars, make a school scholar or two. Drop those dollars in school, you left school a fool. Holla at your boy, he got knowledge for cool. Pull out a pen and polish the roof, sell your father a view. I know a mother lost her home, it's true. My mother lost her home too. That's the dust that dawn bloom, feel me? Basically, banks banking on doom payment place, but it's late. They hate and take this shit from you. You aren't stupid. I seen the place that birthed Cupid. They burned through it for toothpicks, rubbing and crew piss. Capitalism never passive. The passion is cash, cashing on your ass, then pen and tax to it. See, the pen got men, women, and children marked not by accident. They won't ever be the activists. Ask a bid, do the bid, come out acting like like you the kid. The fifth been basking in, now come on, now ask again. You ain't stupid, I seen the heaven that truth can't spit with soldiers who rap pain so beauty can cool it. A movie moving emotion to prove we the book now in the field. We not humans doing justice to true gifts. I'm on that new shit, sell the ring for a cottage in communion, move shit. Say peace to US like Austin produce kids. They wish they knew me, who's rich? I wish I knew them too. I worked it rig, we worked the gig, bring the work back to the kids. Get fat, eat a pepper jack on a pork belly patty. Pat me on the back, enlist and do the bid. Till the Glock's mine, ain't not shots to the rib, that's it. No fib, kill the capitalist.
Okay. Connie, first I want to apologize to you. In our last discussion, many moons ago, I kind of made him sound like a weird rapper. And I think I said that because I'm like we're like brothers and we talk to each other like that, and we're always in the group chat dogging each other anyways. So I was like channeling the group chat energy, and I'm sorry for that because Connie is one of the most intricate and one of the most well-designed rappers, and I should have said that off the top. And I chose this song particularly because his cadence and his flow is one thing I wanted to elaborate on. Your cadence and your flow is unlike anybody else I've ever heard in my life. It's like I feel like there's gonna be a new generation of kids who hear that, and they're gonna copy it, you know. And I really do believe that. So many apologies. You're one of my favorites. Now, but this record, it's called Capitals List, and it's on this record in La Maga, which came out in 2016. But during that time, you actually traveled to Juarez, right? And worked with a producer named SM Grims and spent majority of your time like really tying up the record. And I remember working with you at that time, and it's similar to the question with Marcey. It's like your headspace at the time. I knew that you were on a quest to find something, to search for something, and I remember you saying, I'm buying a plane ticket, I'm going to Mexico, I'm going to do this record in Mexico. And I'm just kind of curious to hear your thoughts about it, about the writing process of Capitals List, talking about capitalism when you're in a place that is in very challenging times. At that time you were traveling, I remember you calling and saying like, this is going down, this shit's wild, it's just, you know, kind of chaotic. So maybe first question is, did you write Capitals List in Juarez? Did you finish the song there? And also, what was your experience like writing lyrics for La Maga while you were down there working with SM Grims?
It was like a really special experience with the La Maga record, because La Maga is the name of a woman from Quarterzar book. He's an Argentine writer from a book called Hopscotch. So before we knew that Trump was coming out with this MAGA shit, this record that was already getting pressed on vinyl for La Maga, which is a character of a book.
Same year.
So y'all know what the fuck it is. But I was having troubles with my lady at the time, and I took a sabbatical and I went down to Mexico to hang out with a friend who'd been deported. His name was SM Grims. We had shared some time in Denver, Colorado at the skate park and stayed in contact through MySpace and this and that. And then eventually I was like, yo, I'm jamming. He's like, come stay with me. So I went and stayed with him, and we went to the markets, and we were actually in Cozumel, which is like kind of a tourist area, but he was living inland, and no AC, you know, all the shit, no hot water, all the whole little things. It was hot as fuck, and they're spraying for like dangnan in the streets, which is just like fumes to kill the mosquitoes, but you're breathing the shit in, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. Whatever. Give you like a space. So we start working on beats, and I pretty much pulled maybe like 12 beats for what would become that album. I wrote like Kara off that project down there, maybe like 5 or 6 songs. Capitalist I actually wrote in Lima, Peru, when I was on a trip with the biology department from the University of Nebraska to study water quality and sustainability down there. So we're up in the mountains, we're in the city, a whole other perspective of walking through markets and seeing potential natural resources that had naturally been there being chipped away, kind of getting second picked of your own natural resources, things that aren't domestic goods being very expensive and outrageously priced so you can't really afford them. Things of this nature where you see where capitalism, globalization, all this shit really takes effect. and the purchasing power of a dollar. So capitalist was definitely wrote while I was sitting in a hostel down there, because you read a lot and you see a lot in your city, and you have a context of like what the fuck's going on in your neighborhood, what's going on in your home, and then in the university and outside you read things, but it's not until you actually go there and you see it and you taste it and you touch it where you have like you have an understanding of the historical context to it. And I believe not really anyone has space to speak on contemporary issues if you do not know the historical context, if not walk the streets of other places. Because Mexico, much like other countries, their infrastructure is very poor because of how it's developed and due to the powers that have developed those countries. So that's kind of something where that whole experience got me a chance to go back. Well, I was in Mexico for about a month and saw a lot of lovely shit and met beautiful people who are my brothers to this day. But yeah, it helped shape the record and helped give me like a new perspective on, you know, on life and on, you know, the life of, you know, people in different places that you hear about, you write about, and you watch on the news, but it's not until you walk the markets and you meet the people. And that's what I learned a lot from that.
The one line that really, really got me from that song was, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna mess it up because I'm not a rapper. I'm just a wannabe rapper.
I'm trying to. Bro.
See, the pen got men, women, and children marked by accident. They won't ever be the activist. I just really liked that line because it was like you're signing your life away, but once you sign your life away, you know, like that's gonna prevent you from actually standing up for your right. Sure. And that's something that we're experiencing here in this country. But it's far, far worse in places, you know, in other places in the world. I'm just glad that you really like elaborated on that. And I went back and listened to La Maga, and it just, I hear it very differently now than in 2016. 2016 was just a different time, and now it's like we more understanding, we grow wiser. I listen to all your records very deeply, and I feel very like different about all of them. And what you three have written in your whole discography, please go listen to these gentlemen's music. I just feel like it tells so many tales, and I wish we had more time to dig. I literally had like 40 clips of songs I wanted to just go through, but I realized we got to talk about other things than just the music. We got to talk about life, its luxuries, its challenges, and so on and so forth. So that being said, can we please give a round of applause for these three gentlemen? These guys are master poets, master of ceremonies, masters of the craft. I strive to be like them, and I know some of you out there do too. And let's just make sure our future generations, our future seeds, remember these three gentlemen, because not only are they doing great works in the public community for you, whether it's building skate parks, serving to the community, serving great food to the community, or building an establishment for people to perform. These three work very, very hard to keep you well informed, well fed, well nurtured, okay? And that means a lot for us, and those are the three qualities that we need in life to really strive, especially for our seeds. So I thank you three gentlemen. Seriously, y'all life-changing, all right? You're, as people, as friends, you know, amazing. But as MCs, I'm like inspired. I'm like a fan, like a super fan. But I got to pretend like I'm a friend, because if I was a super fan, y'all wouldn't hang out with me anymore. Like, you know, that one song, let me tell you some beats. Enough of me talking. I want to move on to a quick Q&A, and I'm going to pass this mic around. So if anybody's has any, Aaron will pass the mic around. So please ask these three gentlemen questions. Do not ask me any questions. I will not answer.
Hi, my name is Lynn. Thank you. Okay, we've heard a bit about your background, your thought process. I'm curious to hear, where do you want to explore in your artistry?
I can go first. With me, I actually want to get more similar to what Marcey and Brent or Connie get into as far as with the music. With us is with me at least personally, it's always been something where I felt. I remember my cousin. He went out of prison, and he told me one time what my music meant for my neighborhood, for my peoples around where I grew up, and he was just more like, "You do. You're saying the stories that we live, what you live. You're speaking for us. You giving us a voice from where we're from, so that the rest of the world knows what we got going on in our little bubble here." So I was always felt like I got to speak on certain things, but I never really got a chance to speak on my things, where I went through personally, emotionally, within my family, within myself, within relationships and things like that. So me now at this point in time, that's kind of where I'm getting with my music is learning because it's difficult for me to get in tune with me. You know what I mean? And so I get inspired with songs from him. I get inspired when I hear songs similar to like how he was doing the one with talking about the females and stuff like that. Like I listen to a lot of these types of music, and low key I'm like I want to do this. Like I want to express myself in these ways as well, but I've never was like really taught to. I come from a family of in Latino culture. It's like they don't let you cry. They don't let you go through that. Like that's the women. That's not the men. You aguantate. You know what I mean? Like get up. Like hold it in. Do what you got to do. Be the man. So for me, it's like breaking free from that mental constraint that I was put on myself in a way just by the way I was told, and not in bad terms. You know, they wasn't trying to be bad about it. It just that's just the way they know. And so to me, I wanna learn how to do that. You know, that's where I want to take my music. And that's where I've been, since my I had a lot of music like with Keith, I had over what was like almost 100 songs that we almost recorded, and this was 2 years ago, and I was ready to do all this 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, but then my pops passed and then knocked me off track, and I didn't want to do nothing, but I got all that music from that time frame back then and that period, but now so much has happened in my life, good, bad, terrible, traumatic, etc., that my music ain't even like me back there no more. So I want to take it to everything I've been through and just take it on an emotional type of thing, you know. not even on a sad thing, just more just like just tap in with myself and just really express myself. For me it's that. Yeah, just the next stage is that is now touch base on me.
For me, I want to keep making music that is different, but also I'm really like in love with language. So sometimes I lose people in the things I write, which is okay with me. But in regards to performing it, where I'm at with artistry is I want to inhabit spaces and create spaces when I go to give someone music that has better justification to understand of like what we're doing. So like the last show I did, I brought like my whole living room to the stage, so someone could feel like what it's like to be in my living room, especially like in a total spiral that day, which was like necessary. But like trying to build a visual interactive experience that can help further like extend the art that I'm creating is like where I'm at. Is I think in regards to like what I'm doing with language, um, I want to continue to just like fucking throw words, and if they sound fucking dope, then I want to run with it.
To jump in, not to interrupt or anything, but what he was talking about, I've been to two of his events where he did that, and I like where he's taking it. I don't know if you remember the one where he did with the one with the lips,
Yeah, I remember
like
that.
like that whole
Yep,
vibe,
yep,
like
yep, yep, yep.
it's something different. So like what he's doing is some crazy new that I hope in general artists really get into. Um, but it's dope. So I'm just wanted to support on that.
Nah, for real.
Big ups on that.
Thanks,
That's tight
Stylo.
because it's like it's a whole. It's like interactive. Like I don't think you ain't even gave them a good taste of what you talking about, bro. Because it's like for me, I'm a fan of hip hop, like big time. I'm a fan of words. I'm a fan of reading. So It's like we went. Me and Liza, my homegirl Liza's here. Shout out to her because she make dope music too.
True.
But we went to see a show for him, and like that show it was talking about, he put the name of the songs in one, and then had the lyrics, so people were listening to the words, reading them, so they can analyze what the lyrics are, they can understand. And on top of that, he was talking about the track within the same atmosphere of performing. So it was just like something different, but informative, interactive in a sense. I don't know. It was cool though. It was something different. I wasn't just there listening and seeing the performance. I was almost like as an artist, I got in his head. I was like, okay, that's what you meant when you was wanting to do this. So it gives you like a whole different appreciation for each track individually that I like. That I was like, dang, I want to do that too. Yeah, it's all good. I come out and what I choose.
No, I think definitely finding more creative ways to display your music, like to display your art is what's next. It's more than just the video, right? It's more than just uploading it and streaming it now, right? It's like how can I really like because I mean it's a lot that goes into writing a song, and then for me I'm producing the beats as well too, and it's it's audio art, right? And then it's like, all right, well, how can we like get a visual for you in a way that you can really like really get it, but we can kind of get our shit off too. Because for me, it's almost ain't enough now to just shoot a video or to just release, right? It's like, how can I display this shit? So that's what's next.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna keep it short. It's like contemporary art pieces. You go to a museum, you look at art all the time, and you're like, "Oh, this is dope," but it's like the language is the same thing, and then so why doesn't it have a visual to extend itself? You know, I think that's totally where sometimes you go to rap show and this is what you want, like, "No, we'll put your fucking hands up," yeah, yeah. It's like most of the songs I make are made for like you to like kind of like sit in. So you could come to a show. It's like now I'm starting to tune into that. Some shit's supposed to pop. Some shit you're supposed to just burn with. Like bring your weed and shut the fuck up and like or no weed and drink your tea, whatever, you know what I mean?
So I don't want to be that guy, but I want to take a couple more questions, but we can keep the responses down just a little bit. We would love to be here all night, but last time we was almost 2:30 last year. We was just here running and rolling, but it's all good. He's here all night, everybody.
Facts.
Hi everyone. I'm Michael.
Michael.
So I was really thinking about what y'all were talking about in the beginning, like brown Latinx folks that really inspired me with hip hop. And for me, like, I can't rap because I have a lisp, you know? So I really am drawn to popping and dancing. And so like Poppin' Taco, I don't know if y'all know him, but he's like one of the OGs of popping, taught MJ, really important figure. And so it just got me thinking about how when we talk about community, you know, it's really the artistic incubation. You know what I'm saying? Like B-boys, graffiti, MCs, DJs. And so I guess I was thinking, you know, do you feel like that kind of interplay has been lost with hip hop as a culture? Like, for instance, I've never seen breakdancing champions from Red Bull BC1 in a picture with Drake. You know what I'm saying? Or I've never really seen that interplay within different mediums within hip hop. And so could that be a way to kind of preserve the community component of hip hop? Are there areas in Omaha where we really see intersections of poppers, b-boys, MCs, etc.? And yeah, what do y'all think about that here in Omaha specifically?
I'll rap on this shit real quick. I remember at House of Loom, there'd be nights where we'd have like DJs, if not two DJs, break dancers, and graffiti writers in the space. I also done shows where I've got kicked off the bill because cats from Enemy Crew were etched into their mirror and they don't want me to play the gig. And then I've also spent time with graffiti writers that have nothing to do with the four elements of hip hop. You know, they're like, I'm a criminal and I'm out here writing on shit. So I've seen like it change, and I've traveled with him on tour with 2 turntables, and people come up to me after shows and be like, "Oh, you're so old school. Da 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 da. Here's my flash drive. Here, we're gonna do my set off my SoundCloud." So I've seen the culture itself really kind of change completely, all in all, for the better and for the worse, because everyone loves dancing and graffiti and the elements of hip hop. I think hip hop has always evolved. And that's kind of where I see it. So it's like when cats do things that aren't boom bap, I used to be bummed. It's like, no, I like to hear it all. And I think we all up here have had different styles and different tracks, but it's still at core hip hop to a certain extent. And the mechanics is like through rap or whatever. But I think finding a specific space where hip hop exists, I don't see it really anymore. But I don't think that it can't happen again, you know. But for a while, the kids didn't really care to. Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying, like I've spent a lot. Well, even throughout my time being here, it's like I've been in spaces where it's like, yeah, like my homies still ride on trains, like all the time. My homies are still homies are still dancing, but in a specific space where
It
it's
just
like,
depends on the event sometimes. Like,
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
event.
like sometimes we'll get it in one space, then sometimes we don't. And like those elements are just in separate pockets right now, you know. And I think that we're still reviewing it and kind of seeing how it translates from what we used to see. Right, the dancing's different. You know what I mean? A lot of it's more viral dances, but a different type of dancing. And yeah, it still can connect with, you know what I'm saying, today's music. Period. It's just like in music, you know, you feel it, you feel it. So I think that like much of us always say, like everybody's over here, over here, over here, over there. If when we do hip hop, when we hip hop, like again, hip hop is not just rap music, right? Hip hop is all them elements. So again, we have to break down what is hip hop, right? What is rap? You know what I'm saying? And when we hip hop, then we can have all that shit in one place, and we need to have that in one place. But it's like y'all don't know how to catch that break. You know, I do know catch that DJ. You know what I'm saying? I do know catch that DJ. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I know artists, and I know catch that graffiti that you know that do it. Um, so like in a perfect world, yeah, I would love for that. Like, you know, every time we hip hop, we can get all the elements under one roof.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the events and the event space too. Like I could see it a lot happening here in an event space like this because it yells hip hop to me. A lot of times it's like he said, different type of events and the different type of lineup doesn't create a good atmosphere for the rest of the elements because everybody's gonna be rapping a certain type of vibe. Personally though, I always get excited when somebody brings out the b-boys. Like I said, I originally before me being wanting to be a rapper, I wanted to be a b-boy. I wanted to break dance. I was a little too heavy for it. I got tired quick. You know what I mean? The people, the homeboys at Boys Club when I used to go, they're the ones that used to teach us. They were teaching they were teaching b-boy and they were teaching DJ. I couldn't b-boy too much for a long time, so I was trying to do the DJ. I got frustrated with the DJ, so I just started writing. And I was like, all right, I could do the writing. I'm gonna start writing. You know what I mean? That's how like I led into it too, because I wanted to be all that stuff. You know, so I always enjoyed that, but I never seen it in the events. Only in the events that Connie would do, or the events you know that I would see Marcy in, or any events that we would see with this type of vibe. You know what I mean? Um, a lot of times I think the media gives out just one style of rap music, which just makes it the forefront. So everybody wants to do that kind of rap music, that kind of show. They want to do that, and that's it. And so it's like to bring that out of nowhere, you know, if there's no context to it, I feel like they'll be like, all right.
It's like generational.
Yeah,
It's like
like a
some people don't even
generational
know
thing.
what it is, and it's like there's evolutions
Mhm.
where it's like some guys want to make a boom bap record for every record. It's like, yo, hip hop has always evolved. It's always changed. So like I don't look at people who aren't making boom bap records like they're not making hip hop or doing something, you know, musically inclined in that realm too. You know what I mean?
What I did see that's really dope is though, just to cut it short, is creation of the beat live while the artist is starting to rap. I'm starting to see that a lot, and I think that's dope. Like my homeboy brings in a production thing, and he'll make the beat right then and there. I think they did it at the House of Loom as well. I can't remember which event it was, but I thought that was dope.
Yeah, I remember we did that beat. Was
that
you
the
hosted
same
the
one?
beat thing one time? That was a long time ago.
I think
remember
that's it.
That was
Yeah,
dope.
I can't remember, but stuff like that, like events like that, and I really think that if somebody makes these kinds of events, people are going to show up because it doesn't happen a lot. You know, it's just a matter of somebody really rolling the ball and risking it. You know, you might, and that's the thing. A lot of times, you ain't going to make some bread all the time. You ain't probably going to make some bread after a couple of them. but you just gotta do them so that people are aware that it's gonna happen.
Yeah, we got one more. I just wanted to speak quickly to this. He knows I'm a dancer as well, and I teach, I choreograph, and I work with a lot of the youth in the city. And Marcy knows, like, there's a hip hop studio, Biambi. We've started ciphers back last summer, and with those ciphers, we're inviting kids, the b-boys, to come out. But it's all style, so a lot of the kids, they don't understand, like, oh, we're gonna do our competition stuff, we're gonna do our TikTok stuff, but the b-boys are like, y'all don't get out of our way. We are spinning, we're doing flares, we're doing all this type of stuff. So it's good because it's intergenerational, but we are hungry for this type of opportunity because we're in class, but what are we training for? You know what I'm saying? So like to hear the music aspect of like, yo, we want to have that. Now I'm gonna go to my colleagues like, hey, yo, it's time. We need to start making those connections because people won't make the event because they don't think people are gonna come. They don't think people want to see this. But so now knowing that, well, at least with the 50 people in here, you know what I'm saying? That's something that would attract. Like, no, it evolves, but it also grows and it's sustainable and it keeps moving forward. So thank you for saying that because that definitely inspired me.
I'll be in touch too.
Yeah. Also, Michael, if you want to tap in more on that subject, there's a great another book that Jeff Chang wrote where he describes hip hop beyond the four elements and incorporates how like fashion, photography, all these things also became additional elements. So I'll let you borrow my copy because it's amazing. It'll answer your question really well too.
All right, what's up, y'all? I'm Ejiki.
What up?
What's good? Just from the conversation, the piece I came in on, when you start to see some of the newer artists, and I wouldn't call them new, but artists such as D Smoke, who switches languages often, even though he's African American, but he lives in LA, so he's representing his county. If you see people like Culxr, and one of the rappers there switches from English to Spanish, and even somebody who's like trilingual, like Nico is, who's speaking English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and flowing and making songs from those beats as well. And then another context point of what you're seeing over in Africa, and the shifts in the Afro wave from house, and they're moving more to like the R&B style of music in the Afro beats. What do you feel is like the next big shift with these cultures? Because we're kind of in a time where people are starting to want to mesh together and and learn about cultures. We're seeing that socially, but we're seeing it in the music now. What do you see the big shift is in that, and where do you see yourselves fitting in that with some of y'all who are already kind of going back and forth and working with different artists and producers and things like that?
With me at least, I just came back from Mexico from tapping in with them down there, trying to do something down there. Like I said, I do English and Spanish, but Spanish is not my first language, so it's a whole different ball game down there of Spanish vocabulary, where I stick out like a sore thumb on the low end, even. But it's something that's, I feel like different countries is gonna bring in their sound, and then it's gonna evolve with whoever it latches onto on the U.S. side of things. My homeboys from Canada, they do the trilingual type of thing too, where he does Spanish, English, and French, and he's doing stuff like that. I'm seeing that the different languages are being accepted, and I like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm listening to, I was listening to Sauce Walker, and he has a dude from Japan that's rapping nothing but Japanese. You know what I mean? And there's various different, you feel me, different types of languages that are being accepted now, and it's not weird to hear it. Whereas that's why coming up, they'll be like, well, you're gonna throw Spanish on this one again, or you're gonna throw just English on this one. Now it's not like it doesn't feel weird to hear that. Now it's more normal. I think the different cultures meshing together and exposing it to people that are not speaking English is getting normalized. That's what I see, at least on the language.
Right. I think you're right, though. I think the more that we're exposed to different cultures, because that is the wave where a lot of things get more diverse, a lot more inclusive, and so yeah, the more that we're exposed to that, to other cultures, then and another thing too, right? We tend to get conditioned to what we're given, right? So whatever they give us to listen to, like that's going to be what it is, right? So to answer your questions, like whatever the industry choose, right? Whatever their agenda is, it's going to be whatever the wave is, right? But just to add to the current wave right now, yeah, I think that we're in a space where we want new, we want things that are different. You know what I'm saying? You know, we don't want to always listen to the same thing. So I think that um, while music explores like that, that's great. Like, you know, for music to be able to explore and to be able to go into different areas like that. If it sounds good, we're gonna rock with it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I think of like Rosalia, and I think of like taking reggaeton, Spanish music, flamenco, and like fucking weird, like ambient shit, and blending it into something you can't really put a finger on, but it carries all these different elements of music that you just happen to love. And I think in rapping, singing, all types of shit. Well, each song has a different, different vibe. And I think that's where my mind kind of goes in regards to like the potential of music. And I think like I have a group called Mean Street. We're like hard to like say like this is like a rap group or a hip hop group when it has a lot of the elements. But like I think like hearing like initial like punk that came from or like rock that came from Peru back in the day was like super sick. It was like a mesh of those cultures, but it was like, yo, this sounds kind of better because they're doing it and it's in Spanish. And then like a lot of things coming out. I've heard like in TikTok, I feel like motherfuckers scroll through there and be like, whoa, what's this new jam that's popping out of Africa? And someone's like, yo, you heard this? And I'm like, oh shit, like this is like textures of this and textures of this, but just like better and smoother and more tasteful. So I think the globalization of music is much more accessible. And I think the more that people want to try new things, whether it falls on its face, but long as you're having a good time, like that's where I'm at. Like, fuck if anyone likes it, but like you'll have fun. And normally those people are not trying to run trends or whatever. They're just making noise. And sometimes that's in the element of hip hop or you could classify as that. But like long as you're just trying to make some fire shit, some sad shit, something you can dance to, like I have fun with it all. Like I think that's where we're all going. It's like the globalization of music completely.
Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny's the
Bad
future.
Rosalie is the future.
With that being said, please give another round of applause for the gang here. Thank you for your questions. I'm not sure what the time schedules are, but if you have further questions, please, flag these cats down or hit them up on their social media pages, which you can get them from them personally. I won't shout them out because I will get them wrong. Thank you very much to the OPA and everybody, and you cats have a great night. I'm going to pass the mic to Aaron. He's going to give y'all some words of wisdom, but peace and one, y'all.
Yeah. And thank you all for coming out to this shit. It's great to see y'all.
Thank you.
Shout out to everybody that came out. This was a dope conversation. I think one thing that stood out to me was how you all talked about how your identity really is connected to your artistry. And then today, when identity is that word where it's changing literally every second for individuals, it is really nice and inspiring to see the deep rootedness of it and how it, no matter what, you're talking about who you are through your artistry. So thank you all for sharing that just on behalf of my little heart. But yeah, so I have some news to share as we are wrapping up. I didn't mention it earlier because I was too excited, but yeah, this is a part of our Voices Amplified series. And Voices Amplified is OPA's way of creating opportunities and connecting cultures. So this season, we are amplifying Latino voices. The season before, we did Black and Latino, and the first season was Black voices. So every season, we are amplifying a culture in our city to just bring light to it, to educate, to inspire, and to also elevate people within the community. So with that being said, next month, we are elevating a New York-based dance company, Ballet Hispanico. They are fire, and they are doing an amazing work based on the revolutionary Doña Perón. And this will be, we're hosting a conversation at UNO about her life and her heritage before the show, which is on Saturday, February 4th. So if you're interested, we have plenty of flyers with our marketing folks. Shout out to Sarah and Brittany. But then we also on the back, we have all the other events that we're doing. And if you're interested, definitely follow us and keep coming to these events and spreading the word about it, because this is how we bring our city together. Even though, like he said, historically we may be segregated, but culturally and like economically and creatively, we can come together by creating these bridges. So please keep coming, all right? And the last thing that I want to mention, we are developing a hip hop education program at Omaha Performing Arts titled the Hip Hop Lab. And we are launching officially this May, May 19th. We are doing a evening of dance. We're doing a culture talk with industry professionals. Somebody really historic is coming. I cannot say it yet, but trust me, you're gonna be like, word. And this is all taking place at Steelhouse. Steelhouse is our new venue, which is opening May 19th or 12th. Thank you, May 12th. So this will be on the 19th. So we'll have the culture talk with the industry professionals, and after that, we are going to be having. It's so funny you brought it up. We are having a battle royale hip hop dance battle. So we're going to be doing ciphers in the city, looking out for dancers who want to battle, and then the championship battle will be at Steelhouse that night. And then Hugo Zamorano is going to join us for a graffiti session for those who want to do that afterwards. So all of that will be happening that night of February 19th. Excuse me, I'm so May 19th, and it is going to be 90s themed to celebrate the 50 years of hip hop, y'all. If you did not know, August 11, 1973, the first beat dropped of hip hop ever. All right. So with that being said, we have a lot coming up with Omaha Performing Arts. Follow us. And the last thing I'm going to ask you to do is look at the little papers that say, scan me. Please scan them. Take a survey. Take a quick survey. It's like 6 questions. Let us know what you think about it. And yeah, thank you all so much. Please get home, be safe, and we'll see y'all soon. Thank you.
Just to add real quick. Hold on, Dom. Just add. Let me get some closing remarks, y'all. Closing remarks.
This man,
closing
this
remarks.
place. My bad.
Thank you. Next Saturday we have our art battle coming up. That is Art Battle 5. So if you haven't been to one of those, it's a live painting tournament. So make sure you come check that out if you want to. And then also in February, so for the DJs here. So February 3rd and 4th, we are having a DJ battle, right? So DJ battle is 2 days, and it's leading up to a February 12th event that we're doing at Benson Theater. So it'll be a concert there at Benson Theater. And so the winner will perform there, and they will be awarded $500 cash. So just to put that out there.
I'm
I know
coming
a few
for all
DJs up in here.
y'all.
A few DJs up in here, yeah. So
I'm coming for you.
listen. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have that information, man. You're gonna have that information. So be on the lookout for that for sure. And again, thanks for y'all coming out. If you haven't been here, welcome to the Culxr House. Don't make it your last time, all right? Y'all get out of here and be safe.